expressed here are not supported by and do not reflect those of the Evening Rush Network. Viewers' discretion is advised.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, my brothers from another mother. We are here. It is Plugged with Molly and Joe, the Mental Warriors podcast. We are coming with you live and direct from our homes at this moment. We're going to get into the studio soon. Trust and believe. We're going to get into that whole podcast vibe. We're going to head out to Cali. I'm trying to go to Cali sometime for the new year or something, man, for this new... Yeah. Make sure your mic is up, Zachariah. Make sure your mic is up. But coming on tonight's show, topic of the day, vaxxed or vexed? Which one are you? Are you vaxxed or vexed? Or are you both vaxxed and vexed at the same time? Of course, making our ancestors proud, all right? Who is these people that's doing it here and now today, in today's time, that's making our ancestors sit in, just rest easy in their grave and say, you know what? I did a great job in what I was doing. All right, who's doing that for us today? It could be us, it could be you, it could be any one of us. We could all be agents of change. So who's making our ancestors proud? Be one of them that we speak of one of these weeks. And also, last but not least, current events. Of course, there's a lot of things going on, not just talking about the vaccination. We're talking about gun violence. We're talking about, what else we're talking about today, Joe? What else we're talking about today, Joe?
We're talking about all of the victims of racial violence. We're talking about the people who are in courts that recently exonerated, and those who are the oppressors that are being tried for committing acts of crimes. Will they get the consequence that they deserve or not? There's so much in this world right now.
How you doing, Jada? How's everything? How's it going? That's my main man, Words by Joe. That's my main man, Zachariah Israel. Give him a shout. Give him a shout, Zach. Give him a shout. What's going on?
What's good, fam? Everything good.
Joe, I ain't hear you. Joe, we missed you, man. What's going on with you, man? How you feel?
Just like most people, we all need a sabbatical every once in a while. There's a lot of things happening, so just trying to keep myself in the conscious state of mind to where I have to have enough to bring for everybody. Sometimes you may not, sometimes I may. So,
okay.
Last week was one of those weeks where I just didn't feel like I was up to snuff, if you will. So
I hear you, man. I hear you. I tend to just try to power through in them situations because I feel like every week we're trying to grow something here, and it's very important that we continue to do so. There's something that I'm supposed to speak to in production meeting. I just remembered it just now. But Zachariah, how was your week so far, man? I know we was talking last week. We got a lot in.
Busy, very busy. As I always say, a lot of things on my plate, trying to fit it into schedule. But just excited about this whole movement, man, and glad to be a part of it.
Well, of course, you know what I mean. We always, in our intro, we talk about our platforms we're on. We're on mad platforms. We're on Amazon Music, Stitcher, Podchaser, TuneIn, Reasons Podcast, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Anchor.fm, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Mixcloud, iTunes Podcast, of course, the EveningRushNetwork.com, and also go and download the Evening Rush app. Okay, it's available on both Apple and Android. I'm an Android person. Whoever's down with Apple, no judgment here, but I'm an Android person.
I'm an Android too, brother. So
Yeah.
Team Android.
Yeah, exactly. But not for nothing. The Knicks ain't doing so great, but they did one thing this past week, and that's beat the Indiana Pacers. That's the one thing they did. We got that back.
Yeah, well, y'all getting you're getting your thoughts together. I mean, my team isn't where we need to be. We always start off slow. I think by the time the All-Star game comes, then that's where we'll be a lot better. But we'll see. I mean, we got one from y'all this week. I think we played 2 more times, during the season. So we'll see.
Bro, you're a Pacer fan. I don't even understand that one, man. You from Harlem, New York, talking about you an Indiana Pacer fan. The Cornhusker State.
Listen,
the corn,
Reggie was the reason why I started watching basketball. So I got
Oh,
to.
really? I could respect that. I could respect that. Hey, Zach, man, any sports you watched this week, Zach?
Oh man, I'm like that Michael Jackson meme where he's sitting there in Thriller watching the movie eating popcorn. That's me, right?
Well, I'm saying, well. I mean, listen, in your leisure time, you rubbing elbows with the sports stars and whatnot, huh?
I mean, last week I was in a circle with a couple NBA All Stars, but they ain't paying me. They weren't paying me no mind. That's me trying to rub shoulders. You know what I mean? But yeah. I mean, we weren't. Even if I do get to having a conversation, it won't be about basketball. I'll tell you that much.
I know that. Talk about these changes. Yeah. Yo, so my sister chimes in, and my sister who happens to have a close relationship with my brother over here, Joe. She chimes in and says that you're a traitor to New York City, brother. I'm
All
saying,
New Yorkers think that, so it's okay. Don't worry about it.
You're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. You're an Indiana Pacers fan. What's your baseball team?
I'm a Mets fan.
Okay, at least they're in New York.
Okay.
I'll give you a pass on that one. At the very least, they're in New York. All right. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna segue right into making our ancestors proud. Okay. This is the segment where we, like I said, we're basically letting it be known these are the people that our ancestors will be proud to have done what they've done to show that to pave the way for these people. So first and foremost, who do we have up for my main man, Joe?
Harry Belafonte.
Oh.
94. Okay, I'll wait for the applause. 94 years old and still an example of what it means to get to keep a stance in your career, not go Hollywood, and continue to make a change and be a voice in the community. He's still doing it. I look at him and I look at Sidney Poitier and I look at Dick Gregory when they were around, and they lost a lot in their careers, or whatever you want to call it, their careers, to be true, to stick to their guns, So I'm always paying homage to someone like Harry Belafonte, 94 plus and still around, doing what it is that he needs to do. I wish we had more that were like him now that would continue to do that.
And they want to talk about Betty White all the dang time, right?
Right.
What about our ancient ones, right?
That's right.
That's right.
Right up there.
That's what I'm talking about. Congrats, Harry Belafonte.
Hey.
You know what I mean? Zachariah, who do you got today for us?
Today, I'm going to be honoring Dr. Claude Anderson. Who is a famous author of books like Powernomics, the National Plan to Empower Black America, also books like Black Labor, White Wealth, Dirty Little Secrets, and A Black History Reader. I wouldn't necessarily say he's an activist, but he is an advocate of promoting financial wealth and the power behind it for the Black community in America. He does have political roots as well, which has been foreshadowed by his career as an author. He became the first Black man to have the authority over what is known as the U.S. government property disposal program, which gave him the ability to give away any government-owned or foreclosed real estate property to anyone of his choosing. And we all know what he did with that. He gave it to the Black community. And so he also moved Senator Strom Thurmond of South Carolina on a quid pro quo, which is like a favor for a favor type of thing, as he put it. to appoint 3 Black federal judges. It was the first time in history since 1948 when the first one was appointed, and he had a hand in the second one being appointed during the time of Jimmy Carter as well. So just a couple fun facts about him. And I learned a lot of statistics from this guy. He teaches to push the politicians that we vote for to use their power and budgets to create programs that will teach Black youth to become business owners instead of employees, and to target the areas where Black spending is most saturated to set up and open Black-owned businesses. So he's an advocate for solidarity, and is actually making moves to help the Black community achieve, power within economics.
Indeed. Wow, that's pretty dope, because that's the reason why I like these segments, is so that we can get an idea of some people that I probably had no clue of his history, had no clue of the kind of things that he's doing. It's kind of, I mean, I guess that's kind of the reason why we're doing what we're doing. That someday someone would actually quote you, Joe, or quote you, Zachariah, and say, "Listen, I want to pay homage. I want to, give flowers to Zachariah for all the work he's done, or give flowers to Joe for all the work that he's done within the community and nationwide." And that leads me up to who I pick as who's making the ancestors proud, and that's none other than the great Denzel Washington Jr. The man, the myth, the legend. Listen, he's an American actor, director, producer, known for his performances on screen and stage. One of the best. All right. He worked with people like Spike Lee, Anton Fuqua, Tony Scott. He won an Academy Awards, Golden Globe Awards, Screen Actors Guild, but all of that. I mean, he's in some of your favorite movies, like some of your classics. He portrayed Malcolm X like no other. Like, he was the best portrayal of Malcolm X this side of Godfather of Harlem, because I think the brother in Godfather of Harlem actually kills Malcolm X in that show. He really like got the mannerisms and all that. So I really give a shout out to that brother over there. I can't remember his name right now, but he's doing a hell of a job playing Malcolm X. Denzel Washington also is a man that that's about the political climate, about social injustices against Black folk, and he also is an inspirational talker. Like, I've like, in his latter years, he's been more outspoken than in his younger years. And I was talking to Joe, I believe, about it, and I'm like, is there something to that? You know what I mean? Yes, Training Day, one of the best movies I've ever seen. And I asked, is there something to that? Is there something to the fact that him being older is like, okay, well, now I'm going to say it because I have nothing to lose. You know what I mean? Because he wasn't as vocal in his, when he was younger. So, what I mean? I guess as you get older, you start saying, you know what, forget that. And I guess these OGs just like shake it off and be like, I'm going to speak my mind. You know what I mean? And I love it right now. I love everything that he's saying. Him, another gentleman, Will Smith, he's another one, got older, started speaking his mind, started speaking up against certain things, started speaking to try to encourage us as Black men and Black women to be better and go for it and never give up. All of those kind of inspirational things that other nationalities benefit from. So yeah, shout out to Denzel Washington, man. One of the most. And the one thing about him, man, he's always Denzel. I don't care what movie he in, he Denzel. Every movie, he Denzel. So I like that kind of consistency, But yeah, that's our segment, man. Listen, I love it. Listen, matter of fact, man, listen, if you got any ideas as to who we should pay some homage to, who is making the ancestors proud, drop it in, give us, drop it into our page, drop it into our Instagram, all those different things. Actually, we're going to have a web page soon, so we're going, we want some more suggestions out there. All right. Oh, okay. Did he? Okay. You know what? All right. One of us will do Diddy. I'll say that. One of us will do Diddy. I'll give you that one, Bob. One of us will do Diddy, man. I hear you. All right, but moving right on along, right? What we're going to do is it's our next segment that we love. It's current events. All right, current events is about things that's going on in the nation, things that's going on, locally, things that's going on personally, in a sense, how these things affect us, right? So current events, first up the bat, basically what we have is Julius Jones' execution commuted. Joe, talk to me.
Well, Julius Jones was a young man that was accused of a murder when he was 17 in Oklahoma. He's been on death row for almost over 20 something years now. And, he was about to be executed recently. They had him on term to be executed today. But at the 24th hour, as they usually do, the judge in that case commuted the execution and just decided to give him life without parole. So it's one of those cases where it's not really a win-win. It's a lose-lose. The brother's innocent. That's the first thing. He shouldn't be in jail in the first place. So, to have a death execution as opposed to living in jail without parole, it's one of those situations where I guess you got to give what you get. I mean, people are still trying to fight for his freedom because that's where he should be. He should be free. But
Right.
it's just another case of how the system works against us.
Well, fails us constantly because the system isn't made for us. I mean, when they made the Constitution, when they sat there and wrote these things, they did not write these things with us in mind. We were actually slaves. We were actually under their boots, you know what I mean, in a sense, when they were making these laws. So it was never for us. So that's something we have to shake out of our mentality, that the system actually was made for us. We have to break the whole entire system in order to get any kind of justice. All right. So now, one thing before Zachariah speak, I want to give you some points about what you were saying. You were saying that the man is innocent. Let's speak to why he's innocent. He said, first and foremost, Julius Jones was at home having dinner with his parents and sister at the time of the murder.
Right.
That I mean, you can't be two places at once, correct?
Right.
Okay. It said, however, his legal team failed to present his alibi at his original trial. His trial attorneys did not call Mr. Jones or his family members to the stand at all. All right. Number two, Mr. Jones did not match the description of the person who committed the crime, which was provided by a sole eyewitness. The person who killed Mr. Howell was described as having a 1 to 2 inches of hair, but Mr. Jones had a shaved head. Okay. So a man named Christopher Jordan matched the eyewitness hair description, but claimed only to have been the getaway driver and not the shooter at trial. He was the state's star witness against Mr. Jones. In exchange for testifying that Mr. Jones was the shooter, Mr. Jordan was given a plea deal for his alleged role as the getaway driver. He served 15 years in prison, and today he is free. All right. So those are some of the points that was made, basically some of the things that people need to know as to why this man should be free and not sitting here rotting in jail as opposed to being, executed at the last, just the other day. He shouldn't be fighting for his life in either case. All right. So that's my thought on it. Zachariah.
Yeah, I just want to say, thanks to the advent of the internet, and this is one of the good things about social media, is that word can be spread, especially with issues like this. And if it wasn't for the timing involved, if it wasn't for social media, the timing involved might not have been met to meet, to spread the awareness and gain the support that this has gotten, because I'm sure that puts the governor and the judges and everybody involved under pressure, because so many people on social media are sharing it and talking about it and saying, no, don't kill this man. And now if you do it, you're doing it in front of the entire face of America. So
Right.
that puts them under fire. So thanks for social media, and to people on social media specifically. This guy that I've been following for a while now, I know we all know him, Sean King. He's always sharing information like that. He's very passionate about, helping the Black community, especially, the people that are wrongfully prisoned and the targets of racial injustice when it comes to the justice system. And also people like Wanda Sykes and D.L. Hewley, who make it their personal business to post stuff like this, especially since they have the huge audience that they have. And I just want to applaud them for using their platform correctly. That's what you're supposed to do. So yeah, thanks to social media for actually getting this out there and the people involved that actually helped this. execution gets stayed. But as Joe said, it's not a win-win.
Yeah, it's not a win at all.
Not a win at all.
Yeah, it's not a win at all. So head up, prayers out to Julius Jones. Hopefully, this day will allow people to look closer into your case and get you up, and get you up out of there where you belong. All right, because that leads us into the next case that we're about to talk about. That's big news, and the people that were convicted in the Malcolm X murder was exonerated. Finally, I guess you'd say. So, Joe, let's speak to that.
It's another one of those too little, too late scenarios. We know that Malcolm X was murdered almost 60 years ago, right? And it's one of those cases where there's always been conspiracies around who was responsible for his death, murder. Was it the FBI? Was it the NOI? Was it a combination of both?
Yes.
So you have two brothers who were from the community, the Nation of Islam, who pretty much took the fall for his murder. And now, after one of them is dead, I believe it's Raheem Shabazz, and another gentleman, but Mr. X, another Mr. Marvin X, I think his name is. He is he's still alive, but to be exonerated after almost 60 years, knowing that these brothers weren't the ones that did it in the first place, that doesn't speak really well to our government and our justice system at all.
Well, I mean, honestly, we haven't really spoken very highly of this system in the time we even had this podcast, and in the time we've even been in existence. Is nothing to say that we should ever have trusted them in the first place.
Well, I want to ask why now? Like, after 60 years, why make the decision to exonerate them now?
The documentary.
Yeah. Media puts people under pressure, and then it's still at the same time. It's not like oh, they did the exoneration because they're under pressure. It's also like a smack in the face, Okay,
the same media that refused to give us our reparations, right?
Yeah.
Why haven't they decided on that yet?
The system chewed them up, spit them out, swallowed them, and regurgitated them. It's a smack in the face to show you this is where you live. Don't forget.
Right. Oh, we can do this. We're doing this because we can, not because we want to.
Exactly.
I mean,
politics, like you mentioned about whether it was the FBI, the NOI, hey man, that's the whole. So we're talking about a nation that assassinated its own president and pulled up a patsy for it and everything.
Yep.
So,
I mean, allegedly, I guess you'd say, because you don't want to sit here and imply things that that wasn't shown to be proven, right?
I think this is a good time to make this statement. For the record, the views of Zakaria Israel and the statements of Zakaria Israel do not reflect on the views or are not necessarily in accordance with the views of the Evening Rush Network, Plugged with Molly and Joe, baller.org. They are specifically my own beliefs, and I reserve the right to speak my mind at any given time, and I'm thankful to be on this platform, and I don't want to drag anybody in with me on my own opinions.
Well, listen, your opinions are more common thought of nowadays, so I don't think you're dragging them on. It's just it's taboo to speak on it. So,
but it's only fair I make these disclaimers.
What's funny? There's someone I know, and they basically their disclaimer is that they speak with other what other people are thinking, and you're just one of those kind of guys that people are thinking the conspiracy, but they don't want to put it out loud. You understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, that's the reason why we love you. That's the reason why you're here. That's the reason why you're part of this show. All right, because you're not here to kowtow to the norm. You're here to actually challenge the brain. Mental warriors is what we are. If you're not mentally fit, you don't need to be in this podcast at all. You know what I mean? You got to be ready to mentally spar with us in order to even keep up with us in that sense. And it's not that we're way spaced out or going to the moon with this. We're just basically trying to spit straight facts for you to be able to decipher from and choose to be able to help yourself as a person or as a human being. You know what I
I
mean?
like to
Whatever
say,
color.
I like to say that if I'm the crazy guy in a society full of crazies, then I must be
Hmm.
doing the right thing.
Yeah, must be, right? So the McMichaels murder trial, because we're going to make a notation of it's not the Ahmaud Arbery murder trial because he was the man, he was the victim. So it's
That's right.
The
Lynching.
McMichaels lynching murder trial. He took the stand this week to tell his side of the story. Did he even have a side of the story? I mean, this should be real quick, right? Did he even have a side of the story, Zachariah?
I mean, first of all, he was telling his side because he wants that's a plan from the prosecution's side, or the defense side, rather say, to give him a little teary for the jury to have feel sorry for him, basically.
Hmm.
And, I think this is just another one of those examples of what the justice system has done in the past many times. So just like we saw last week, Rittenhouse crying on the stand, and these things get publicized on purpose. You know what I mean? To show that, and then you have all these supporters, these politicians coming up in support of them, and organizations saying, that they were good people and all this. I mean, what about the victims? What about who's been the victims for the past hundreds of years? And it hasn't changed. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And everybody's not blind. You know what I mean? People
Right,
can see. They know what the system is trying to do, man.
right,
So his
right.
his testimony is really irrelevant to the case, but it has to be done because of what media is trying to portray. For
Joe, what do you think?
When I see these things with Rittenhouse and McMichaels, I go back to an old sketch that Paul Mooney used to talk about, where he used to talk about the difference between a white person crying and a black person crying. And he would say the white person needs to get the Academy Award
I remember.
because they would start crying. Like an example, an alien came down. The alien came down and stripped me of my clothes, and there were bright lights everywhere. And then the people would say, "Oh, well, we have to study this. This is unusual." But then when the black person would say,
Hmm.
"An alien came down and stripped me of my clothes and bright lights," he would say, "Oh, those were police lights. Yeah, I didn't see nothing." Stuff like that. So that's what I think of when I hear things like this. It's like you said, it's for show. It's a pity party.
Yeah, pity.
White
Yeah,
Europeans are very salty and they, sympathy. But when we do it, or if we have reason to do it, like our struggle isn't as important as theirs is.
right.
Like you can be the victim and still you can't cry victim.
No,
Like,
Right, but that's the
I think
American
that goes
way.
in the court of law.
That's the American way. I mean, us as Black folk, we've been victimized for centuries, and as soon as we speak up on it, it's something wrong with there's something wrong with it.
And
Um,
it's because of what we see on TV. Let's not play short, man. A lot of people are of other ethnicities are waking up to this and are actually acknowledging that these
mhm.
things are wrong. It's just that there's no platform for it other than social media.
Well, social media is a very good platform. I
A
mean, it's very
huge,
powerful. It's a
yeah,
very
but not
powerful
what
platform.
we're fed and implanted with all these. We're not saturated with those type of thoughts and those mentalities.
Understood. So we're gonna carry on from his side of the story because his side of the story means nothing to us because it was plain as day. You murdered that man on video. All right. So rest in peace, young Dolph. We ain't gonna dwell on more murder, more killing of ourselves and whatnot. I pray for the people in Memphis. I hope they come to their senses and stop murdering one another. I hear grandmothers got retaliated against, all kinds of stuff going on. So let's pray for Memphis, man.
One thing I just want to put it out there, man. If anybody knows up and coming black rappers, a rapper that's in the industry, your lifestyle has to change. When you're from the hood, you can't go back to the places you used to frequent. You have to get away from that environment. You are a target from your
That's the
own
point,
people, from the
right?
government, from the police, everybody. So please be careful and mind your steps.
Yeah. Yep. So rest in peace, brother, and prayers up for Memphis. Real quick, we're gonna do what you know what I mean. Let's throw out you know what I mean. And to this week's you know what I mean, just so for people over there in podcast world that don't see it, it's the Charlie Brown meme. All right. So Charlie Brown is a black man that's remember the little they had the football and then they he went to go kick it and they move the football out the way, and he goes and then whoops, and it's like, everybody laughing. Well, the person that's moving the football out the way is none other than our president, Joseph Biden. He had the black people. He had
Why
the
are you
black people.
cheering? Where's the booze?
He had the black people ready, boy, ready to kick that ball, and we on the same team and all that. And he just took the ball from us, and here we are looking like fools. We done voted for this man, and I don't know what's going on, man. I really don't know, man. But
Just kidding.
yeah, just on that note, what we're gonna do is we're gonna hear a word from the Evening Rush Network, and we're gonna get back. And if they want to speak about the meme, they can speak about the meme. If they don't, they don't. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about vaxxed or vexed. Which one are you? Be right back.
Looking to podcast shows and do not know where to start? The Evening Rush Network can help you with that. Call us at 929-441-2417 or email us at theeveningrushnetwork@gmail.com for dates and prices. We got you for all your podcast needs. The Evening Rush Network. Tune in, subscribe, and share.
What's up, y'all? Your boy Shice, Mr. Talk of the Town, letting you know now the Evening Rush Network now has the app. So catch it on the Google Play and the App Store. And you can catch all your podcasts like The Evening Rush, Let's Talk Crazy, The Queens of NYC, Sex, Love, and Alcohol, Plug, TL Mac Fitness, I Am Nicole Clara, On Everything, and Getting to the Focus, and all in one place at the Evening Rush Network app. That's right. So catch all your favorite shows. What are you waiting for? Download it now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are back. We are back. We are back. This is Plugged with Molly and Joe, the Mental Warriors podcast. That's our other co-host over there, Zachariah Israel. All right. We are sponsored by none other than Baller Shot Caller, my personal favorite organization out there. Okay. We are also on Instagram. Okay. We're on Instagram at Plugged MJ. We're on Facebook and all of those other platforms that we spoke on right now. I believe we're on YouTube live and direct right this minute. So go over to YouTube, the Evening Rush Network, and check us out. Subscribe to the Evening Rush Network. Subscribe to Plugged YouTube channel. And let's move on, right? Let's move on to the topic of the day, okay? Topic of the day, vaxxed or vexed, the misunderstanding of the COVID culture. Or the understanding of the COVID culture, if you really want to talk about it, right? Okay, so first and foremost, we're going to talk about vaxxed, okay? Being vaxxed, all right? Some people is calm, some people is good with that. They're good, they got their shots, they're good. That means basically for them, they continue their daily way of means without interruption. They get to go to work, they get to go to school, they get to go to the play, they get to go to the movies, they get to continue everyday life as we once knew it, right? And then I'm guessing that if you're not vaccinated, you don't get to benefit from these same things. What say you guys as far as, is that what it is? Is it worth it? Is it, to get vaxxed just to continue with just the norms of life?
I say for someone who is vaccinated, not by choice, but because of my profession, that's the aura that's being presented to me.
Mm-hmm.
That I am able to go about my everyday life, that I'm able to make my money the way I need to, that I'm able to enjoy my living the way I am. But at the end of the day, there are also people who are still getting getting the COVID with being vaxxed. So it's one of those situations where you're stuck in the middle. Do you do it because you need to continue your way of means, or do you not do it because you don't agree with the way things are happening? But for me personally, I continue my days the way normal people would. I go about my work day. I go about my job day. I go to places and not really have to worry about restrictions because of it. And that's what the means are right now. And, it'll continue to be this way until either the threat of the vaccination lessens, or or it just dies itself out. or become common like the flu?
Well, I mean, take it from someone who isn't vaccinated. I don't know. Maybe it's like, I don't know. That's almost like a scarlet letter nowadays. It's almost like before you used to be able to say it with pride. I'm not vaccinated. Now it's like, okay, I'm not vaccinated. And you start, hovering away like, oh, okay, people might judge me now, try to stay away or something like that. And I continue my daily way of means without interruption in a sense, because I look at the certain things that they're saying that you cannot do or you're not allowed to do is unnecessary in essence anyway. Because I mean, what is entertainment? Entertainment could be a good book. Entertainment could be sitting around meditating. Entertainment could be sitting around with your family, spending more time with your family members and getting to know what's going on in their head. Some of the things that we take that we strayed from as a people in the first place, and that's where we like sort of got back into when we had the pandemic, when we had the, you know what I mean, when the pandemic first started. Everybody was getting more in tune with their family, getting more, talking with their families more. So when you're talking about continuing your daily way of means, what does that really mean? You know what I mean? Your daily way of means is just what's presented before you for that day. For me, you know what I mean? So vaxxed or non-vaxxed, I'm continuing without interruption. Zachariah.
Same here. On my side, it looks a little different. I recently traveled to New York, so I know what it's like over there. But here, I can go anywhere, restaurants, movies, there's bar, whatever. There's not that type of mandate. Even with masks in the particular county I'm in, it's not really enforced like that. But I do foresee it coming. And if I was to go out to LA and take an hour and a half drive and go spend some time in LA, then I do experience those things. But I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything, And if anything, I think this whole thing has this, they call it social distancing, even though there's nothing social about it. But it has brought us closer to our families. I think it's physical distancing is the right word. And then, now when we do go in public, it's like I do get that thing that you were just talking about. Is like, oh, you're not vaccinated. Oh, so I don't know if I want to be around you. I don't know if I'm comfortable being in this atmosphere with you, But hey, I still at the end of the day think that we should all be entitled to make a choice and be respected for those choices. It was
Right.
never ever a vaccine in history. Even there was polio. There was, SARS. There was all these other, supposedly epidemics or pandemics out there, and there was never a scare if you were not vaccinated for one of these things. And that,
Right.
for me, raises the red flag about what the true agenda for this whole pandemic really is.
Right. Yeah. So that's the side of vaxxed, right? It said, in my opinion, at this point, if you choose to get it, if you don't, it's your choice. Yes, but that's the thing. They basically and some of these things really, it hides it, like you say, it hides a different agenda, because once you allow them into your life to say, okay, I'm controlling what is put inside of you, then what is going to where the line, where's that line now? You know what I mean? Where is that line down the line when it comes down to it? When does it stop? When does they say, okay, well, put this in you? All right, well, for sake of for health reasons, you need to put this in you. All right, last year we said for health, because guess what happened? The booster, and then the next booster, and then the next booster. So now you got all of these different things, and you lined up just taking vaccine after vaccine after vaccine. Who's to say nothing gets slipped in there in a diabolical way, right? So why, that's where we go line up with our next side of it, which is vexed. You know what I mean? And some of the things that's going to have us vexed is if there is a conspiracy behind this, right?
I am vexed. I am vexed because
I am vexed.
when this first hit the news, the first thing I thought of literally was a Tuskegee experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw a video which was circulating on Facebook for a while, and it was very hard for me to find it again on the internet, but I did find it. And it was a nurse who was crying. She was working in New York hospitals, talking about how they're just letting the minority patients die. And they're not dying from COVID. Her quote, they're not treating COVID. They're not dying from COVID. She said since she was there, they never even checked people's lungs. Like they're not even using the stethoscope to see how they're breathing. And they're supposed to be in the COVID ward. Like,
Mm.
so that raised the red flag for me then, and I thought about the Tuskegee experiment, and I'm just like, it started causing me to do research and stuff. So hopefully we'll share a little bit of that later on the show.
Yeah, we're going to touch on some of the research that you've looked into, and we're going to speak to that. Joe, you were speaking on being vexed about something earlier. It's like New York State has removed the right to use religious exemptions to refuse vaccinations. Like they just so those times of back in the days where you used to be able, okay, religious exemption. I remember you used to be able to put a letter in and be able to get the Sabbath day off. You know what I mean? Or stuff
Right.
like that. So basically they've taken that right and they're just eradicating that now. Is what that's
Well,
going on.
it's not best for business, and I'm speaking from a New York State standpoint. It's not best
Mm.
for New York State a business to do that. For me personally, I had a lot of coworkers who were Muslim, Jewish, and of these things, and they tried to claim exemption, but they weren't allotted to. And I guess it was because a lot of people were using that option as an out. But because of the fact that they need more people vaccinated, you can't use that option anymore because it's almost like it's an out. You can't give people an out if your ultimate goal is to get people vaxxed. So that's where people are vexed. It becomes more like a plan. Like, okay, well, the plan is not to get people feel comfortable about how they feel about the vaccination. It's about to achieve a certain goal and position, and anything that derives us from doing that, I'm speaking from a business standpoint, it's not good. So it was initially because they didn't think people would do it, would use the exemption as a way out. But when they got so many requests for it, it became an issue. Like, we can't offer this anymore because everybody's just going to use that as an exemption. So regardless of if you're not religious or atheist, and you're still, because people can't identify that. There's no proof in that. You can't prove if somebody is of religious of nature.
You can't
So
prove the true beliefs.
you can't prove it. So it'd be hard to sit here and say, no, you're not this. No, you're not of this
Right.
religion. So it's one of those things where it fights with each other. So they had to remove it because there's no way to prove or tell people that they're lying. That
Right.
you can't just outdate them for that. So that's
That
what I thought of in that instance of when
that's
I
one
heard that was not an option anymore.
that's one reason to be vexed. Definitely one reason to be vexed because I mean there's some people that stand by their religion, stand by their way of living. And yeah, they are denying a lot of the religion. Yeah, and that's my point. I mean, people should be vexed about that. Should be vexed about everything that you stand for is being challenged now with this one situation, with this one mandate, right?
I,
So,
I am one of those people that stand for my way of life, right? But at the
mhm.
same time, I also understand that they do what they want to do. So I would never even try to lean on that religious exemption because I know it's only going to be temporary anyway before they take that away from me.
Right.
Right. So what rights do we really have, correct?
Exactly.
So it's like, all right, so like for example, children vaccination mandate, right? People say that, it's not mandated now, but isn't that inevitable?
Yeah. If there's
Okay.
not enough children that are willingly taking the vaccine and they see that those numbers need to increase, it will become mandated. There are organizations, some children organizations now that have already done that because they're not trying to even get there. So they're
Right.
not giving you the choice to voluntarily take it. They're saying, oh, it has to be done. And if you don't do it, you won't be part of these organizations.
And that's very vexing to me because basically it's my child and I would want to be able to have control over what goes into my child. And also with all of the, because remember you have side effects and the such, because with anything that they give you, there's a side effect. I mean, you look on TV and they be saying, oh, you got this gallop, whatever, and all of a sudden it's side effect, side effect, side effect, side effect. So you're not going to, excuse me, you're not going to tell me that this vaccine all of a sudden is side effect free. You understand? So therefore, what can it do to my child? What will it do to our children? What will it do to their to our children's children? Because you still can't make me not believe that the rate in autism has nothing to do with what was pumped in us when we were children.
Absolutely.
So
Facts.
ADHD, you're right.
The numbers show it, and it's like when all of us seen those commercials, Lipitor, and this and that and all these things, these new pharmaceutical drugs that are put out there by privately owned companies that have marketing campaigns behind them, and they're required by the CDC and the health department to tell you what the side effects are. It'll be like, side effects may include death. Side effects may include blindness immediately.
Right.
And there are some serious side effects, but the commercials are still out there promoting these pharmaceutical drugs. But here we have the government mandating a vaccine from the CDC itself, and they're not obligated to tell us any of the side effects on TV.
Well, yeah. Then I mean, I haven't heard any listing of, okay, when you get the vaccine, these are some of the side effects that can happen.
You can find it, but you got to dig and search deep.
Right,
online,
right. There are cases of side effects. I mean, they're happening, but it's pushed under the rug.
Exactly.
It's not something that's advertised as much because they don't want to fear people in getting the vaccines.
So Zachariah, you was talking about earlier, you was talking in the sense of there's some information out there speaking towards the making of the vaccine, some of the side effects of the vaccine, what it's supposed to be doing. And that's just, quote unquote, just what's out there, right? This is all information that other people can find if they do the research, if they look it up, and so forth.
And
So,
I will even go a step further to make it easier. Any of the information that's going to be brought by me on this show, we will include links on our Facebook page, on our Instagram page, in the description to the post for this particular show, where you can click these links and check it out for yourself. I actually have it compiled in a Google Doc that I will even share the link to the Google Doc. So if you want, and then I would just grant you permission, whoever is requesting. So I would go so far as to do that. So diving right in, I'm gonna leave my opinion out, and I'm gonna just give you where I got this information and the sources and some of the information. So one is an article called "Understanding the Nanotechnology in COVID-19 Vaccines," and this is from a division called CAS, which is a division of the American Chemical Society. You can find them on cas.org. And
one second. And I want people to understand, this is vexing to me. And I'm sure it's vexing to Joe, because I wouldn't want you to slickly be dropping some nanotech in me, on some sly stuff. You know what I mean? So this is where the vexing part coming at. Because the vex part for me is, I don't know if I could trust this or not. I don't know what's going on. So go ahead, Zachariah. Let's speak to it.
So lipid nanoparticles are a vital component of the Pfizer, BioNTech, and the Moderna mRNA COVID-19 vaccines. They are referred to as the next generation of liposomes that use nanotechnology. And although mRNA vaccines are a new type of drug, lipid nanoparticles have held to be recognized in the position of a mainstream drug delivery system, because they actually help deliver the drugs in your system. So liposomes have a couple of disadvantages. They have a short circulation time in the bloodstream, and they're unstable in the human body, and they lack selective targeting. Despite clear advantages for drug delivery, lipid nanoparticles have an unwanted side effect, and they have the potential to induce an allergic reaction. They call this anaphylaxis. And they claim that the research shows that only 1.1 cases of every million first dosage of the Pfizer BioNTech could cause anaphylaxis, and which is a severe, potentially life-threatening allergic reaction that can occur within minutes of the allergen. So the other alarming part is that in order to enhance some of the disadvantages, like for instance, to enhance the tissue targeting, the liposome surface has been modified with ligands or antibodies, which allow the liposome to recognize and bind to the specific receptors in your cells. So the problem with these ligands is that they cause organ system defects, including immune and inflammatory systems, effects on both of those systems, reducing the function of macrophages, reduced phagocytosis, which we're going to talk about what that is, of particles themselves, and reduced macrophage mobility and cytoskeletal dysfunction. So what that means is a microphage. Yes.
I got a question. In a sense, right, when you speak on all of these different things, right, What is the aim? What is the objective of this project then? Of a project of this magnitude when you're talking
Again,
about
before I make this statement,
invading the body, basically.
before I give my answer to that, I would like to also note again that the disclaimer that my views and statements do not reflect that of the Evening Rush Network, Plugged, or Baller.org. So if you look up Agenda 21, Agenda 30, Agenda 37, Agenda 63, there is an agenda, a government agenda that was created by the Eugenics Society, which is basically the elite that run the world, the quote unquote New World Order, whatever you want to call it. There is a specific agenda to reduce the world population by 2/3. So because the elite doesn't like the fact that people are populating at the rate that they are, and their children are not going to have access to the natural resources that we have today. Because as the population increases and the natural resources get depleted, we're talking oil, we're talking minerals, we're talking water, then now it's a threat to humanity for 100, 500 years from now. And they believe the world belongs to them. So they don't want their children to have to suffer. So get rid of 2/3 of us, and their children will have more to use. So, okay, now back to the facts and statistics that are on this chemical the society website. So macrophages are specialized cells involved with the detection and destruction of bacteria and other harmful organisms within your body. It's how your immune system works. And phagocytosis is a cellular process for ingesting and eliminating particles larger than 0.5 micrometers, which is 0.001 millimeters in diameter. So we're talking microorganisms, foreign substances that you need a microscope to see. And our immune system is designed to attack those things. Your T cells attack those things. Macrophages carry those to the T cells to kill them. If your macrophages are damaged, then you will not be able to fight this. So there's a reason why people are getting sick when they take the vaccine, and this is one of them. And they also have effects on not only the immune system and the inflammatory systems, but also adverse effects on cardiac functions and vascular homeostasis.
Let me pin that real quick, because that's a lot of information to take in, and I want everybody to really absorb that. And if you want to find out more information, in-depth information, take note on what he just finished speaking on, and check our Facebook page where he's going to put the information in there. And go on YouTube, right? On Facebook, right? We're going to put it on Facebook.
Well. I will include the links on both Instagram and Facebook.
Right. And I would, because to sit here and think that we have, all the time in the world to be able to explain all of these different things, that'd be crazy. Because that's what's vexing about this, is the fact that it's so meticulous. It got so many layers to this that you don't know which way to go. You don't want to take the vaccination because you don't trust what's in the vaccination, but then you got to take the vaccination in order to do what? Continue your daily way of means without interruption, as we said in the beginning, right? All right. So let's go talking about Vaxxed and Vexxed, Joe. Like, what you think about what he was just speaking about, Joe, first and foremost?
Well, here's what's funny about everything Zach said. These claims were being made when people initially started taking the vaccine. They talked about the allergic reactions. They talked about the some people were getting loss of their or vital organs. It was affecting them. These are things that were happening when the vaccines were initially produced. And these were happening. But like I said earlier, they were pushed under the rug because it defeats the overall purpose of people getting vaccinated. Right. So this it's not old news, but like you said, you got to look real deep in order to find that. It's not something that you're just going to advertise. They're not going to advertise these things because they don't want people's minds getting swayed.
Yeah.
Right. So the information will always be there. But if you're really serious about this vaccine and the research, you got to look into it in order to know it. It's the same thing with history. Like the history will always be available for us, but we just got to show an interest in it. We just got to look and research it. But it's not going to be told voluntarily.
No. And you gotta go deep. You gotta go deep. And Zachariah knows because we was raised into doing that. We was raised in going deep. Like let's go a little bit low, a little bit below the
And
surface.
And you know that what I was trying to bring right there was basically like the brief overview. There's so many different layers to it, like you said. And when you get really down into the technical aspects, it's really scientific. And they know the public is not going to dig that deep or maybe understand it on that level if you do find the information.
Right. But that's why it's important for us to do what we've done in teachings, as we what I'm talking about, Zachariah, is
Absolutely.
that remember we took a complex, not so complex, but we took a complex language and then we had to produce it into a
Simplify.
level. Exactly. So that's what we're going to have to do with the same information, right? All the information that we get and all the information that we gather, we have to take it in and simplify it for our people the way they understand that, listen, there's something going on wrong here. You know what I mean? Be careful. Be careful of what they're trying to control. You know what I mean? Because they're trying to control your body and your mind now. You understand?
And let me just say, I don't want to be, the conspiracy theorist bad guy, that's going off on a whim. I just want to say that the reason why I think this information is so important is because the target is what they call the undesirables. They
Right.
would rather get rid of the entire Black community. I
Right.
mean, we see it every day with the justice system, so for us to sleep on this would be something, it would be a disservice to our entire community of people that are like-minded. So I think, putting this information out there, I'm going to do my best to compile as much information as I can with data and statistics and studies, and have that available on our pages. But I just want to say that this is for people to actually know what's going in their bodies, and
Open
that
up your mind.
alone.
Yeah, let's not be naive as to what goes in your body, and that's whatever you're eating, that's whatever you're drinking, that's whatever you're putting on for lotion, that's what any aspect of your life, whatever you're putting on your body or in your body, you should be very much aware of it. You know what I mean? So we gave examples of being vexed because I'm just vexed. I'm not vaxxed and vexed because I'm not vaxxed. You're just vexed, right, Zachariah? Joe is vaxxed and vexed, right? Because he's like, yo, listen, he got his back was against the wall. They gave him no choice because in order for him to carry on in this world without interruption in his world, he had to do so, especially being a person of, in the education system. But CNN said the CDC admits natural immunity offers better protection than experimental COVID jabs. And they admit to this. The CDC admit to this. So yeah, I would be vexed. I would be vaxxed and vexed in this situation because here it is. I done got shot. I done got jabbed up. And then you telling me that I could have did better with my natural immunity, which a lot of people is choosing to use, right?
I
So
mean, let's be realistic. Like, unless you've been in a situation, all right, we've all had the common cold, the flu, right? How many of us went to the hospital to get treated for that, right? Your
right.
immune system was designed to kick in to fight that, right? You have some mom soup, drink a lot of warm liquids, fruits, some vitamins, and boom, and then a week the most, you're back on your feet again. COVID, I caught it in basically in on the onset at the end of January 2020. It laid me down for 3 weeks straight. I went to the doctors at that time. They said I had a virus. They couldn't tell me what it was. And COVID had already been on the news. I said, it's not COVID, is it? And they were like, well, we're not sure. And if it was, you'd be, quarantined. But I believe I had it. I never been that sick in my life. Laid down to bed for 3 weeks.
Ditto.
And I didn't take any medications from the hospital. They sent me home with 800 Motrin. You know what I'm saying? And I took herbs. I tried herbs, and you're talking to somebody who got shot and died. And I've been hit by 2 cars. They said I'll never talk again. They said I'll never walk again. You think I'm gonna believe a doctor? I'm walking proof that God gave me the immune system that is able to heal me. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
So
yes.
Joe being vaxxed and vexed.
Well, what I will say about immune systems, this is one of the things I can agree with. I think it has a lot to do with underlying conditions because we have a lot of people's immune systems that are already messed up. So something as strong or powerful as a COVID might just take them out. And it's not because they caught it worse than what we were. They caught it because they have underlying health conditions, diabetes, they're overweight, things like that, asthma. Those things take a serious effect on what it does. Like we ignore these things because we don't look at it from the inside, but those things really make a difference in your health, your lifestyle. Your healthy lifestyles make a lot of difference. So for someone who's overweight and gets COVID, it'll be a lot worse for someone who's not in better shape. So we have to look at that and say, you know what, there's a point to that. But that stuff is not being advertised. Healthier lifestyles is not being advertised.
Well, that's something that they haven't done for that's big pharmacy is never going to do that. They're never going to promote a natural order of things because you're not coming back to them, because once you get rid of the disease, then you have no use for them, right?
Exactly.
So they want you to keep coming back for the jab.
Right.
Can we share those 2 tweets that came directly from the CDC so people know we have something to back up and substantiate our claims?
Yeah, let's share those 2 tweets for our people real quick, because we're about to close it down, have our closing remarks. All right. So it says, all right, the CDC says you should get tested for COVID-19 if you have symptoms or you've been exposed to someone with COVID-19, even if you're fully vaccinated. All right. Find a testing location near you. And that's why I'll be vaccinated, because I'm getting jabbed, and I still gotta get tested and still gotta do this and do that. I'm still so worried. I'm just as worried as if I don't have, I don't know. I don't get it. But let me see the other tweet. Let's see the next tweet. There
we go.
All right. If you've had COVID-19 in the past 3 months and you've been exposed to someone with COVID-19, you don't need to get tested. What? If you don't have new symptoms? What? I'm confused.
Yeah, so if you've had the vaccine, you need to go get tested if you've been around someone with COVID. If you've had COVID in the past 3 months, you do not have to get tested, even if you haven't been vaccinated. So how influential, how powerful is the vaccine? And this just lets us know right there that the CDC is letting us know that your immunity is stronger than the vaccine. Your natural
immunity. Yeah, your natural immunity. I mean, I would think that that's actually the case, because we've been doing that for the beginning of time. From the beginning of time, we've actually, become naturally immune to a lot of different things, a lot of different diseases, a lot of different bacteria, a lot of different situations. I think it's going to happen again. It has to happen again, or we're going to just keep getting jabbed up by these people. And I think that the side effects for me is going to become worse than what they were shooting us up for. Oh, COVID-19, yeah, you might not catch COVID, but then here you go, got heart disease. You know what I mean? Here you go, got kidney failure.
Exactly, and that's the underlying condition aspect. You get something else from it: blood clots. Trouble breathing, lung issues. And that's what a lot of people were initially doing. So they're like, okay, this is worse than what it was, and that's how they were able to empower the importance of the COVID-19 and the vaccination. If you got the vax, you could avoid getting all of those things. But as we've noticed, getting vaccinations doesn't really mean that you're immune from it. People still get it. People say it's not as bad, but you still have it.
Listen, I know for a fact that, you look at people and you see people living a little longer than they used to. And mind you, people are living a little longer. Social Security drying out. Why? Because old folk living to be old. You know what I'm saying? People are slowed down, and, whatever the rat race that was happening that was killing up people slowed down drastically.
Well, here's the thing. With the advent of the internet, the knowledge of how to take care of yourself is becoming more widespread. People are taking vitamins now. People are exercising more. You could go on YouTube and learn a workout routine that is simple and easy, 20 minutes a day. You can learn about natural remedies for cure online with a Google search. And now, statistically proven, this generation of senior citizens is living longer than any generation of senior citizens before in history.
So that goes with our conspiracy theory or thoughts when it comes down to population control. You know what I mean? What better ways to weaken our immune system as we're going, or weaken us as people, to have us not live as long as we normally would be living these days, because everybody was powering up to go for the long haul. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was, because look, everybody, I'm turning 50, I feel good. I'm 60. Look at me, I'm good. Before 60, you'd be sitting there with, crinkling bones and whatnot, So let's close this out, Joe. Talk to me.
Well, this was wow. I mean, the energy speaks for itself. I don't think the CDC put that out there to be confusing. I think they put those images out there so that you can see what's happening. You can make the choice to whether you want to do it or not. It's almost like somebody who tells you to do something or who's lying to you, but they're saying, see, we're putting it out here so we don't make you think that there's something wrong with it. So it's almost like they're covering their own self. You know what I mean? They're protecting their own brand. So that way they can't say what they said wasn't real or they ever lied to you.
Right. Zachariah, what you want to close out with?
Just want to say, for people who have been vaccinated, and to Joe as well, especially if you're a member of the Black community, you have something going for you that other people don't have. You have one of the most resilient immune systems on the planet. You have survived so many things. That's why you're the target. So don't feel bad, because that nanotech or whatever's in there may not affect you the way it will affect other people. And remember what Joe said, it's also according to how you take care of yourself. So what they don't tell you is that your diet is the cause of many of the, what do they call, precursor diseases in the Black community, like diabetes and heart problems. So just mind how you take care of yourself, what you eat, what you put in your body, and you will have nothing to worry about.
And with that, everybody, I don't need to say anything. They said enough. The Evening Rush Network, thank you. This is Plugged with Molly and Joe, the Mental Warriors podcast. My main man Zachariah over there, Joe down there. Peace.
What's up, y'all? Your boy Shice, Mr. Talk of the Town, letting you know now the Evening Rush Network now has the app. So catch it on the Google Play and the App Store. And you can catch all your podcasts like the Evening Rush, Let's Talk Crazy, the Queens of NYC, Sex, Love, and Alcohol, Plug, TL Mac Fitness, I Am Nicole Clara, On Everything, and Getting to the Focus, and all in one place at the Evening Rush Network app. That's right. So catch all your favorite shows. What are you waiting for? Download it now.